Chris Farrell is the Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch, and he joins us this evening to talk about just that. Chris, great to have you here. I have to say, in all seriousness, that it's really unusual to see Judicial Watch and Heritage linked up with some of the most prominent names in left-wing corporate media.
Well, even the wrong people can do the right thing. And in this case, they're looking at stumbling, bumbling Joe Biden and a frantic effort on the part of the White House to prevent the audio being released of his interview with Special Prosecutor Hur. The transcript is one thing. That's kind of plain vanilla, and they probably cleaned up the language and the uhs and the ums and the say that again and all the other kind of conversational colloquy back and forth. But actually hearing the audio of Joe Biden, I think the White House is terrified of that happening.
But it's irresistible.
Right. It's irresistible even to the lefty media. If it bleeds, it leads, and this is sort of a car wreck type thing that the media cannot turn its eyes away from.
Well, and I also take seriously there's an opportunity here. If there is still an ability for left-wing organizations to join up with with Judicial Watch and also with the Heritage Foundation, there's an opportunity for us to remember that there is a Constitution that protects us all, that is important for us all to enforce. And I'm delighted to see the partnership amongst all of those organizations, Judicial Watch and Heritage, because of the potential that it represents. But also what it represents is an absolute credibility gap for the Biden administration. We know that transcript couldn't possibly be accurate because it doesn't in any way comport to Biden's patterns of speech, his previous oral statements. We know that thing has been cleaned up beyond a doubt, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, who knows what kind of rambling stories, of cannibalism and God knows what else he may have diverted off into telling his tales of, what he did 20 years ago, or, it is, if you've watched Biden and you've seen him in action, and we all have, going all the way back to his days in the Senate, you know that rhetorically he is all over the map. And so the notion that he would go through a couple of hours of interviewing and not, tail off in some weird direction, it's just not believable.
And he lies constantly, continually, and through nature. And we know also that awaits the truth of those audio recordings. How long do you think it'll take to get them?
I think it will be a summer-long battle, and I think that they will come out before the election, but there's going to be a tooth and nail fight over it. And I think eventually, before a court ever rules on it, I think that the drumbeat of public opinion and negative coverage will actually compel the White House to decide to release them before any court ever makes a decision.
Well, it would be nice. I'm hoping you're right, because this administration has been protected by everyone from the Secret Service, all of the intelligence agency in this, all of the alphabet agencies in the intel community. I'm just not sure that these people really have any way to respond to popular opinion, because they know what they're doing is destructive. With every one of their policies, they do not change. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the leading indicators about just how much trouble they're in. If we start seeing them actually change policy, not into this showboat nonsense sham like wanting to do a bipartisan border bill, but I mean significantly change their policies, then we'll know how much trouble Joe Biden is in. And I think this might be one of the test windows as well, as you suggest. Where are we right now, in your judgment, in bringing any kind of, any semblance of a press that will challenge the Biden White House? Because we don't see it day in and day out. the briefings at the White House with all apology. Well, I'm not going to apologize to them, but with my heartfelt concerns to my colleagues, they're just playing a game. The American people are being robbed every day of their right to know by an indolent and I think corrupted national media. Whether they're in the briefing room, wherever a press conference that hasn't happened might be. I mean, how many press conferences has the man had? How hard is it for us to understand what is happening here and for these organizations all to report it?
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. You have someone like KJP, our illustrious White House spokesperson, come out and, she reads from a briefing book. She can't answer a question on the fly. She can't be extemporaneous in any way. And for the most part, the press, the first 3 rows in that White House briefing room, they're not reporters, they're stenographers, right? They're just writing down whatever they're told with little or no real intellectual curiosity. And so they're just there to, copy down whatever the notes are for the day. There's a few folks that are willing to press the issue, and everyone knows Mr. Ducey, of course, from Fox News. He at least occasionally gets in a shot or two. There's a few others. There's a couple like, One America will do something every once in a while. Or they'll go out to the press gaggle as the president makes his way out to Marine One, a place where Trump would stop and hold impromptu half-hour press conferences discussing anything and everything. And now you have the polar opposite where Biden, unless he has a scripted card in front of him, can't even engage with him. And no one, well, not no one, it's just very rare to see the conventional mainstream press say, hey, look, this president doesn't speak unless there's a teleprompter, and when he does, he stumbles and bumbles and then, walks off into the platform.
But Chris, the thing that annoys me most of all is each one of those establishment corporate outlets, irrespective of how left-wing they are, refuse to acknowledge the starting point and the midpoint here in what we're doing. This is a puppet president. He's incompetent. He is both indolent and cognitively impaired, and they want to behave as if there's nothing wrong. It's a charade perpetrated by the Marxist Party, but it is one that is applauded by the people who should be their greatest skeptics and reporting truth to the American people. You mentioned Ducey, you mentioned whomever.
Right.
A glancing blow at best once in a while is the result, and none of it speaks to the truth of the situation, the context of where we are right now in this woe-begone nation of ours because of the destructive powers of a fraudulent president. You get the last word.
Yeah, I'll just, when you go and you watch all the other sort of alphabet soup of media, the conventional mainstream types, they treat Biden as though he is, this magisterial statesman figure. And, the American public isn't buying it. The American public is not stupid. And no matter how many times they say it or try to present Biden as being this heroic, kind of FDR type, he's not. And everyone knows that. And I think the numbers will prove that in November.
Chris Farrell, thank you very much for being with us.